as you can imagine, this past week has been extremely trying, and I want to express my deepest gratitude for all of you sending warm words of encouragement and support. It's been wonderful. I don't know how far I could have taken it without those. And thanks also to those who phoned and faxed the Vernon Lodge with their concerns in the name of freedom of speech. I'm very grateful. I oftentimes felt like I was a one-man army crusading for truth, justice, and freedom. But now I know there are many of us, and together we can and are making a difference. Also, of course, a special thanks to David Icke for making our job so much easier. Last but not least, a thanks to our comrades, Steve Heron and David Lethbridge, for pissing us all off enough to stand up and defend our constitutional rights.
Thank you. Could you just turn that mic off, and then I think I'll be all right. Am I all right now? Right. Right, well, thanks for coming. You know, I thought that I'd run out of great mysteries of life, but I've just discovered another. How come that so many people who claim to be anti-fascists go around acting like them? I mean, is that me or what? I don't know. It's kind of a schizophrenic thing. Anyway, I hope your bums are nice and comfortable, because I've got a heck of a lot to talk about tonight and get across. Anyone who came last time, the whole thing has moved on a great deal, because I've spent the last year accumulating an enormous amount of information. I'm putting it together in a book called The Biggest Secret, which is going to be seriously thick, to document in great detail what I can really only summarize tonight, because it's such a big story, but it all fits together like a glove. And it's a very important time at the moment, because you know, there's a lot of challenges about, and I understand. Have you heard there's an asteroid heading for the Earth? Have you heard that? Yeah, apparently there's three possibilities of what's going to happen. The first one is that the asteroid lands in the sea, in which case there'll be a massive tidal wave and all life will perish. The second scenario is that it lands on the land and creates a dust storm which shuts out the sun for months, and the result is all life will perish. And then there's a third scenario, that the asteroid hits Revenue Canada. And the scenario that is that all life flourishes from then on. Yeah. Another great mystery we're going to answer tonight is how Bill Clinton becomes President of the United States. People like Mulrooney become Prime Minister of Canada. Have you heard the latest about Clinton? I heard it this afternoon on CNN. You know CNN, claptrap, no news. You watch that. Well, it's a new scandal apparently. Clinton's out jogging near the White House, you see, with two of his security guards, and he's jogging through the virgin snow. He didn't realise what that was. The security guards hadn't pointed out. They're jogging through the White House and out into the street. And suddenly they see this patch of gold in the snow, and they run up to it, and Clinton sees that someone's written in the snow, Clinton's a jerk, in wee-wee, you know. So Clinton's outraged, like, isn't he? You know, I mean, his flabber's never been so gaslit like that. So he orders an FBI inquiry into this outrage and aspersion against his character. So about a week later, the head of the FBI turns up at the White House and says, "Excuse me, Mr. President," he said, that little incident last week, we completed our little report. He said, it's not so much, Mr. President, that I've got some good news and some bad news, he said. I've got some bad news and some worse news, Mr. President. He says, the bad news is, he said, we've had the urine sample analyzed and it definitely belongs to your Vice President Al Gore. He said, but the worst news, Mr. President, is that the message was written in Hillary's handwriting. After the break too. I'm going to pick up this story of the few controlling the world right back in ancient times and bring it through right into the present day and show that there is not just a weaving of knowledge and a weaving of secret societies through this period of time, but there's also a weaving of bloodlines. There is no accident that the Eastern establishment of the United States and the royal families and the aristocracy of Europe are obsessed and always have been with interbreeding with each other. They marry on the basis of genetics. That's the way it works. There's a reason for that, which we'll get into as we go along this evening. But before I start into all that, anyone who hasn't heard me speak before, just want to cover something I always cover at the start, because one of the big questions, perhaps the biggest question and reactions that you get when you're talking about a tiny few, and my goodness me, it is tiny, that run the planet, is it couldn't happen. The sad thing is, it's a piece of cake. And indeed what's been happening in Vernon in the last week or so is a classic case of that. You know, I mean, the guy at the Vernon Lodge gets one phone call or two phone calls, pulls the plug. Doesn't check if what's being said is true, blah, 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 least line of resistance, and it's all a done deal. It's so easy because of the state of humanity's in. And the way that we're manipulated, and always have been, is through the mind and the emotions. We are, all of us, aspects, indeed not just aspects, we are everything that exists. Open-minded science, going into deep physics and subatomic physics now, is increasingly, as more and more scientists wake up, they're increasingly showing proof that everything is the same energy in different states of being. So therefore, we are that energy. However, we can access great chunks of it, and all the knowledge, wisdom, inspiration it contains, or we can live in a fraction of what we are. And the reason a few control the world is that coming on what?
It's your what?
Oh, what is it?
Your what?
Oh, I'm pressing the reverse. It's all right, don't worry about it. Actually, that's an interesting slide. That's the mind of Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle, this is a true quote, I'm not kidding you. Dan Quayle, when he was vice president, he came back from South America and he said the following: I love Latin America. I only wish now I'd have studied Latin at school so I could converse with those people. There we go, we're there. So, we're a race of infinite beings living in a fraction of what we are. And if you look at how a herd of sheep is controlled every day, two states of being, barbar and fear. Vast majority just follow the one in front because it's in front. That accounts for most of the sheep herds every single day. And the few that don't conform to that, they get a dose of fear from the sheepdog, and then they conform, and in a few minutes, vast herds of sheep are exactly where a farmer and a sheepdog want them to be. And when you then reflect that barbar and fear mentality, which controls the sheep herd, into the human situation, we've actually gone one step further, because we not only operate like sheep, following the one in front, a politician, a professor, someone with letters after their names, whatever, we also police everyone else and act like the sheepdog. So the same people conform to these imposed norms of reality, of right and wrong, all this stuff, and then insist that everyone else does the same. Because the key that allows the few to control the planet is it's become a crime to be different. And if you look right back into history, whatever the society is and whatever its norm was, it policed those norms, and being different was a crime. Ridicule, condemnation, even worse when we go further back. So this basic structure of setting norms, getting the vast majority of people to conform to them without thought, frightening the rest, or most of the rest, into conforming through fear of being different and the consequences of being different, is the basic structure that can be charted right through known human history that has allowed the few to control the world. And all that's happened as we become a more globalized society, with the computers and stuff, and the mechanism of communication, is what's been happening in different societies all over the world for thousands of years has now taken a global expression. And so that means a very simple truth, which can be observed all the time, every day. If you can set the norms in society, you create the mental and emotional sheep pen which the vast majority of people will occupy through barbare, and most of the rest will occupy through fear. In other words, you got... And if you look at who controls those norms, what sets them? The education system. Who controls that? Same people. Who controls the media? Same people. I mean, the media is a classic example, and again, what's happened here in the last week is a very good expression of that. I mean, I was a journalist for years in England in the 70s. I never met one journalist in that time I had a conversation with that didn't relate to the normal, accepted norms of life. In fact, it makes life quite a hassle if you're a journalist who wants to write about things that are different. So, this basic structure can be charted through history to the present day, and if it wasn't there, what I'm going to talk about tonight would not be possible. You know, I keep hearing about, what we've got to do is arm ourselves. I guess that's a choice that people have to make. I don't see the point in that. I don't see the point in meeting violence with violence and giving people the excuse to blow you away with far more sophisticated technology than anyone in the population will ever own. And all that does is meet an attitude to life with the same attitude to life, just got a different name on it. If we can step out of these manufactured norms and stop policing each other, then the diversity of human experience, the diversity of human view, breaks up the herd, and without a herd mentality, the few cannot manipulate the mass. Everything comes from this. We are manipulated through our mind and emotions, so if we take back control of our mind and emotions, this is all over. And the basis of what's occurred through this long, long period of time that I'm going to talk about tonight is that, basically. And I'm going to go into some areas very soon, looking at where this has come from, which will probably be very challenging even for a number of people in this audience. If I had to say one way that we are manipulated, it is through the manipulation of belief. It's the intention to get someone to rigidly believe something. I don't care if you rigidly believe what's in the Bible, or you rigidly believe what's in the Quran, or you rigidly believe what Joseph Smith wrote, or supposed to have written in the Mormon Bible, etc., or whether you believe in the Communist Manifesto. As long as you believe rigidly in something, they got you. Because then you're shutting yourself off from other possibility.